I am very pleased to be joined by Dr. Ruben Palais today to talk about healthcare, something all of us are interested in and many of us are concerned about. I think, Ruben, what I've been most intrigued with is you're fairly optimistic about a holistic approach, about using modern technology to help people of all ages. So tell us a little bit about, how you're approaching all this.
Oh, thanks, Craig. That's a great question. Yeah, I'm always often accused of being over optimistic, but I think this time my optimism is founded, on pure science and technology. I think, at this very moment, we are uniquely positioned, to solve all of the challenges that we have in health and healthcare. Because we're actually at this moment in time where we have a perfect collision of, several key challenges that we face in healthcare. We face an emerging body of scientific literature that's going to allow us to solve those challenges. And even more importantly, I think for the first time, we now have technology that if you couple that with the science, is able to address that. And, I will confidently project that generations to come are going to look to us as the generation that solved the challenges of health and healthcare that we face. So,
How did you get into this? What's the path you've taken to kind of unravel some of the great challenges in healthcare that we face today?
Well, I mean, I think it's, I have a diverse academic background. I am a physician by training. I hold a PhD in business. And that kind of intersection of, understanding of two critical sectors that are necessary to solve healthcare challenges, I think positions me well to do that. So, I think I would be remiss if I don't use that expertise in a way to solve pressing challenges. I've always worked in healthcare all my life. I've worked in healthcare as a clinician. I've worked in healthcare as a academic. I've worked in healthcare as an entrepreneur. And I think, there comes a time in your career or in your life when you want to connect all of those dots to be truly transformative. And I think, that's kind of where I am now. I think, healthcare is faced by real challenges at this time. But I'm confident that we have the ability to address them. And I think that kind of occupies pretty much all of my time at the moment.
When you talk about business, you made me think about my Uber experience or my Amazon experience. And you talked in the beginning about, the information. We have the knowledge, we have the information. Those are just two businesses of many, but they take tremendous amounts of information and then figure out where I want to go, what I want to buy, that sort of thing. So is that the direction you're going in with?
Well, that's one of the directions. I think one of my approaches to solving challenges in healthcare is exactly that. I look outside. We look at other industries that have done something really well and try to figure out how do we actually translate that into health and healthcare. Now, let's stick to your example of Uber, or Airbnb. They're typically called platform business models. They do really well at, they're doing really well at, in the case of Uber, democratizing transportation, reducing the price or the costs, reducing wait times, improving geographic access. Those are all problems that healthcare faces today, okay? And if you look at that model and how they succeeded in addressing those transportation issues, we can replicate exactly that in health and healthcare. And that's called the platform-based approach to healthcare, where, and that's something I write about, and that's one of the, to me, one of the solutions to addressing the challenges that we face in healthcare. whether it's cost, whether it's access, whether it's workforce, uh, you know, the platformification or the Uberization of care is a business model of the future. And I think to the extent that we can leverage that model and make it ubiquitous in healthcare, we're going to solve a lot of the problems. Yeah.
And I'm assuming that a lot of what's involved here is taking a lot of information from individuals with a common situation and helping to arrive at some conclusion about
Yeah.
what the ailment is or what the approach should be to treatment. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. And I think, this is important, and this is kind of why I say we're at this perfect time where we're having this kind of, happy collision is today we can collect real-time data at the individual level. So, there's lots of ways that I can collect data about what Craig Fuller is doing today based on, data that may be publicly available, based on data that you can supply me, and based on observations. And I can develop a real-time profile of Craig Fuller and, base my management on that. So that's an approach that is also going to be characteristic of future healthcare. That's called a kind of personalized approach and based on real-time data. It's one of the strategies that we will pursue. One of the issues, Craig, historically, is medicine has always regarded individuals as being, well, the average patient. There is no average patient. You are not an average person. Neither am I. And it doesn't exist. I frame it as one of the biggest frauds committed in medicine, this concept of the average patient. And what data helps us to do now is to pretty much do what we should have been doing all the time, is make it real time and make it personalized. So that's going to be a key characteristic of the way care is delivered in the future.
I gather this also allows you to approach this, I'll call it holistically. We seem to be in the era of the specialist. So,
right.
Gee, I have a problem with my neck, I go see a specialist in that. But
yeah,
the problem could be stemming from other things. And so, how would you approach this?
It's a key trend that I think that's going to shape the future. The more holistic, what I call a kind of well care based approach to health. And, one is driven by the fact that there's a lot of science emerging that other modalities of care are as efficacious, meaning the non-traditional approaches, whether it's nutrition or whether it's lifestyle. There's a science emerging now to support that as mainstream medicine. So, to the extent that we can integrate that into holistic care delivery modalities, I think that's going to be an important or a defining aspect of the future of healthcare as well. I even write about that in one of my books, that one of the big transitions you're going to see is a shift from sick care to well care.
Huh.
And that shift is going to depend on, a holistic approach to data collection, a holistic approach to assessing and evaluating individuals, and a holistic approach to the way we manage their health.
On an individual basis, is this something that can be applied, from birth to end of life? Is this
absolutely
has that kind of universal approach?
Well, I mean, it should be a universal approach. For the well care model to work, we actually need to go before birth. So I call it a pre-womb to tomb approach.
Mhm.
Focusing on wellness when you're 60 years old is almost, it's almost a joke for lack of a better term. Uh, what I'm proposing is a shift to well care that starts before you're born. It starts with your parents planning for you
Hmm.
to be a healthy baby and to live a healthy lifestyle. So, beginning the data collection at pre-birth, genomic and phenomic analysis of your parents, and regular data collection from birth to death is going to allow us to make the pivot from sick care to well care. I think the model depends on us identifying individuals at risk instead of identifying individuals who are already ill. And I think this is going to take a paradigm shift in the way we design well care as opposed to sick care. So, but it's we have all the technology in place to do it. The only issue at the moment is the sequencing. We're doing all of these investigations, assessments, evaluations when somebody manifests as a patient. That's too late. I'm saying all of those technologies, tests, assessments, evaluations, if they brought forward, will allow us to identify people at risk as opposed to try to diagnose patients who are ill. That's the shift we have to see. And I think what you'll find with that kind of shift, it essentially is going to change society dramatically.
It seems too, as you're describing it, that yes, it's a shift, but from the patient standpoint, I include myself, have become accustomed to using devices, using platforms, wanting to get access to more information ourselves. So how are patients responding to the concepts you're putting forward?
Well, I mean, the first port of call is to convince the providers that they need a paradigm shift in terms of the way we see the current model, which is a sick care model. That's posing challenges. I think this is going to take a significant level of engagement by patients themselves, to bring this to fruition. The power differential between providers and patients is changing now, and information and knowledge is changing. Patients have to take their rightful place in this shift from sick care to well care. In fact, that is a patient-centric approach to what we want to do. That's going to require patients to, one, be informed. I think they have to, and we're starting to see that now, and I think that's just going to be, that's going to increase. Information and being informed is not enough. They have to be engaged and they have to participate in this. And that's not enough too. They have to become advocates for others. And I think, people like me have, and you, in your position, have a critical role in emphasizing the role that patients have to play. New healthcare literally places the patient at the center. But that is not that's not an appointment. That is something you have to select yourself into. So, there's a tremendous responsibility that's going to be shouldered by patients moving forward.
Well, listen, we've kind of reached the end of our time. I'd love to invite you to sum up or add anything that perhaps I haven't asked you about before we quit today.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Craig, a lot of what I talk about, a lot of my vision for what the future is going to look like, I've put that down on writing, and they're available in my latest book that's out called Journey to Zero, Digital Technology's Quest for Perfect Healthcare. And the title of that book really reflects, the opportunity before us, the fact that we can, for the very first time, achieve perfect healthcare on condition that we leverage the technology in the right way.
Well, Dr. Ruben Palais, very exciting, something all of us need to pay a lot more attention to. I look forward to reading your book and following your good work. And again, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Craig. Appreciate this.